Ciao. Howdy, y'all. Howdy. Good evening. How is everybody this evening? We are going to read chapter 4 of The Mist of Avalon. Yes, we are. So, if we have to do it two chapters at a time, we shall do it two chapters at a time. But we will get caught up. I made a promise, and I want to keep that promise, no matter how long it takes. I'm gonna get it done. All right, let us begin, shan't we? Ambrosius. Oh wait, time out. Can y'all hear me? Can everybody hear me? Are we good? Are we good? We good? I hope so. Thank y'all. All right, cool. Ambrosia was buried at sunrise. A green escorted by a Gorlius, still angry and silent, watched the ceremonies with a strange detachment. 4 years she had struggled to compromise with the religion Gorlius followed. Now she knew that while she would show his religion a courteous respect so as not to anger him, and indeed her early teaching had taught her that all gods were one, and no one should ever mock the name by which another found God. She would try no more to be as pious as he was. Interesting. A wife should follow her husband's God, and she would pretend to do so in a seemingly proper fashion. But she would never again fall prey to the fear that their all seeing, all vengeful God could be. Wait. All vengeful God could have power over her. She saw Uther during the ceremonies. He looked haggard and worn, his eyes red rimmed, as if he too had fasted, sleepless, and somehow the sight touched her heart. Poor man, with none to care if he fasted, or to tell him what nonsense it was, as if the dead loitered near the living to see how they fared. F-A-R-E-D, fared. Hey Lorna, how you doing? Thank you for the heart. I appreciate it. Hey Abby, how you doing? Can y'all hear me? I just want to make sure. How's everybody tonight? This evening? Welcome to the awesome. Welcome to my fortress. I like this area. All right. I got distracted saying, "Hey, I'm gonna keep going now." Bear with me. Fared. That's right. I was seeing that this was the word. They fared, and could be jealous of their eating and drinking. She would wager that King Uranus had committed no such folly. He looked fed and rested, and suddenly she wished that she were as old and wise as Uranus's lady, who could speak to her husband and tell him what he should do in such matters. After the burial, Dolores, Gorluis, I'm gonna get it eventually. Gorluis took a grin. I maybe have to hear the name. I don't know. Back to their lodging, and they broke his fast with her. Oh, okay, so he broke his fast with her. That's awesome. He broke his fast. Yeah, but chapter 3 was like 30 some pages, so it took a while. It took a while for chapter 3. We're just starting chapter 4. I've been taking breaks, but I think chapter 4 is 11 pages, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do like 2 chapters a day because it's a lot, and it's real small. So it does work my brain a little bit. There's that. I'll learn to think of it hard. I appreciate it. It is a long book, but it may take me a week to catch up. But then 1 chapter a day, I'll be good. It's just called dedication. Making it happen. Maybe I'll get faster. I hope I get faster. I'm counting. Anyway, all right, he broke his fast with her, but he was still silent and grim, and immediately after excused, oh, not accused, excused himself. I must attend to the council, he said. Lot and Uther will be at one another's throat, and somehow I must help them to recall what Ambrosius wanted. I am sorry to leave you alone here, but I will send a man to escort you around the city if you wish. He gave her a piece of coin money and bade her to buy herself a fare at the market if she chose, and told her that his man would bear a purse as well, if she wished to choose spices and other things for the household in Cornwall. For there is no reason for you to come so far without purchasing some of the things it is needful for you to have. I am not a poor man, and you may buy whatever you need to keep a proper household without consulting me. Remember, I trust you, the grain. Sometimes I gotta follow it, it makes it easier. He said, and laid his hands on either side of her face and kissed her. Although he did not say so, she knew he was, in his own gruff way, apologizing for his suspicious and his angry blow, and her heart warmed to him. She returned his kiss with a real tenderness. It was exciting to walk through the great markets of Londinium. Dirty and smelly as the city was, it seemed like 4 or 5 harvest fairs, all in all in one. The banner of Glorious borne by his man at arms kept her from being jousted or pushed very much. Yet it was a little frightening to walk through the enormous market square with 100 vendors crying their wares. It seemed to her that everything she saw was new and beautiful, something she wished for, but she resolved to see all over the market before she made any purchases. And then she bought spices and a length of fine woven wool from the islands, far thinner, finer, finer, far finer than that of the Cornish sheep. Gloria should have a new cloak this year. She would begin weaving and boarding, and she would begin weaving, weaving, weaving a border for it as soon as she was back in Chintangle. And so she also bought for herself small hanks of dyed silks. It would be pleasant to weave. over here like, what's going on? Where was that? Thank you, Lana. It would be pleasant. Shoot, I lost it. I lost it, y'all. I'm still right here. Ready? And so she also bought for herself small hanks of dyed silks. It would be pleasant. Oh, look, I found it. To weave on such brilliant colors, restful and fine to her hands after the coarseness of wool and flax. She would teach Margaret's too, and it would be high time next year to teach Mornay to spin, if she indeed bore with her another child. This time next year she would be heavy and ungainly, and she could sit and teach her daughter to spin. 4 years was certainly old enough to start learning to handle a spindle and twist thread. 4 years old. See, back in the day, shit was different. Okay. Wait, what? Send another beanie and a sticker, and hold on, I gotta remember. Hope, faith, and love, right? I just want to make sure. Did you get your beanie and your sticker today? Did it come early? That'd be dope. Just curious. Okay, today's Thursday, so you should get it tomorrow. All right, so you don't. Okay, I just want to make sure. So you want another beanie and sticker? Okay. Same sticker pattern. Okay, cool. Just double checking. I'll get that to you. Uh, I'll get that in the mail tomorrow. Face itch there. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. Who's that? Oh yeah, she was. We were talking about her teaching her 4-year-old how to spin. That's crazy. 4 years was certainly old enough to start learning to handle a spindle and twist the thread, even though the thread would not be good for much except tying up bundles of yarn for dyeing. She also bought some colored ribbons. They would be handsome on Morgane's holiday gown, and they could be taken off each dress as the child outgrew. Interesting. and sewed at neck and sleeves of the new gown. It was only fitting now that she was big enough not to soil her clothing, that she should be dressed suitably for the daughter of the Duke of Cornwall. The market was doing a lavish business at a distance. She saw the wife of King Uriens. Is it Uriens or Uriens? Uriens. And other well-dressed ladies, and she wondered if every man in the council who had a wife had set had sent her out to do her shopping in the markets of Londinium. This morning, while the debate raged, Igraine bought silver buckets for her shoes, even though she was sure she could have bought some just as fine in Cornwall, simply because it seemed a fine thing to have buckles to her shoes, which had come all the way from London. But when the man would have sold her a brooch with silver filigree, 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 all round an amber stone, she refused, shocked at spending all this money. She was very thirsty, and the display of men selling cider and hot pies, tempted her. But it seemed an ugly thing to sit and eat in an open market like a dog. She said, like a dog. That's crazy, y'all. Crazy. This happened. Said if you eat out in public, you is a dog. Wow. 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 That's crazy. That's crazy. How do you feel about that? I feel it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. Let's keep going. She told her man to come along back to the lodging and resolved that there she would have some bread and cheese and beer. The man looked sullen. So she gave him one of the tiny coins left from her marketing and told him to buy himself a pot of cider or ale if he chooses. Well, that was pretty nice of her, right? I would say so. When she got back to her lodging, she was tired and sat lightlessly, looking over her purchases. She would have liked to begin work at once on the borders, but that must wait till she got back to her small room. She had some spinning with her, but she felt too dull to do it. So she sat looking at her things until Gorlois, every time, until Gorlois, looking wearily, came in. He tried to take an interest in what she had bought, commending her fragility, but she could easily see that his mind was elsewhere. Though he admired the ribbons for Margie's dress, and said that she had done well to buy the silver buckles, he should have a silver comb too, and perhaps a new mirror. Your old bronze. There we go. Your old bronze one is scratched. You can let Morgus have the old one. She is a grown girl now. Tomorrow you may go and choose one if you will. Will there be another meeting of the council? I fear so, and probably another, until we can argue Lot and the others into doing Ambrosius's will and accepting Uther as High King. Gorlois grunted. Stubborn donkeys, all of them. Would that Ambrosius have left a son, then we could all swear him loyalty as High King, and choose a war duke for his prowess in the field. There'd be no question then. It would be Uther. Even Lot knows that. But Lot is damned ambitious to be High King, and sees only that what it would be a fine thing to wear a crown and take oath from all of us. And there are men in the north who would rather have one of their own, and so they back up Lot. Indeed, I think if Uther is chosen in the end, all the kings of the north, except perhaps Urine's, wow, wait, except perhaps Urine's, will ride away north with no fealty sworn at all. But even to keep the loyalty of the kings of the north, I'll, I'll not swear to be Lot's man. I trust him no further than I could kick his arse on a muddy day. It's hilarious. He shrugged. This is dull hearing for a woman's ear, agreeing. Set me some bread and cold meat, if you will. I slept not at all last night, and I am tired, as if I had been on a campaign all day, arguing in a weary work. She started to say that she found it interesting, then shrugged to herself. Let it be. She would not stop to coax tales from him, as if she were a child begging for a nursery tale at bedtime. If she must learn what fared from the gossip of men in the marketplace, she beat it. He would be weary this night and wish for nothing but sleep. She lay wakeful at his side very late and found herself thinking of Uther. She is such a dedicated girl. Thinking about Uther. Mm-hmm. Y'all know. Y'all know. Y'all know. I know y'all know. I know y'all know y'all know. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all know what I know. That I know that you know. That I know what's going on in this book. It is suspicious. Anyway. How did it feel to know he was the choice of Ambrosius for High King, and to know he must enforce that choice, probably at sword point? She twisted impatiently, wondering if the Merlin had indeed laid an enchantment on her, that she could not leave off thinking that she could not leave off thinking of Uther. At last she drifted into sleep, and in the country of sleep she found herself standing in the orchard where she had spoken with Uther, where she had dried his tears with her veil. Now, in the dream, he seized the end of her veil and drew her close to him with it. Oh, this is gonna get good. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? This is gonna get delicious. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm getting parched. I need a second before we get into this. This is gonna get great. This is about to get good. Y'all ready for this? This is Sparta. Almost fell over now. That would have been priceless. Y'all ready for this juicy, juicy book? I'm so excited. This is great. I was hoping that it would get interesting. Like, not that it's not interesting, y'all, but like in a different fashion, like in a different way. I might have to move it. Because I need you to charge. Actually, dun, dun, dun. Cold air coming in from there. Let's get back to it. Plug y'all up. Enjoy that juice right there. Let us get back to it, shalln't we? We shall. All right. That's right. We're at the part. Hello. It's nice to meet you. Is it? Hold on. Deviant? Deviant doll? It's nice to meet you, Deviant doll. Thank you, Skeeter, for the follow. Sending you some love. Ooh, I gotta pardon. Y'all, my bad. That was funny. That deserves like laughter. Yeah, just, let's get back to it. Y'all ready? Here we go. She was about to get dirty in her dream. And we're gonna whip out that whipped cream. For real? Okay. So, for this. Yes. Where were we? I gotta find where we were, and then we'll get back to it. She was dreaming about him pulling her in. Mm-hmm. Where was that at? Okay, read that. Okay, stubborn donkeys, read that. I found it. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? I found it. Here we go. She lay awake at his side very late and found herself thinking of Uther. How did it feel to know he was the choice of Ambrosia for hiking, and to know he must enforce that choice, probably at sword point? She twisted impatiently, wondering if the Merlin had indeed laid an enchantment on her, that she could not leave off thinking of Uther. At last she drifted into sleep, and the country of sleep she found herself standing in an orchard where she had spoken with Uther, where she had dried his tears with her veil. Now, in the dream, he sees the end of the veil. He sees the end of her veil, and drew her close to him with it, and laid his mouth to hers. And there was a sweetness in that kiss, a sweetness that she had never felt in all her years with Gorlois, and she found herself giving herself up to that kiss. She felt her whole body melting with it. She looked into his blue eyes and thought in the dream, I have always been a child. I have never known until this moment. Good. In this moment, what it was to be a woman, she said, I have never known what it is. I had never known what it was to love. He drew her close to him and laid his body over hers, and Igraine, feeling that warmth of sweetness sufficing, sufficing her whole body, raised her lips to his again, and woke with a start of amazement to find that Gorlois had drawn her into his arms as he slept. The sweetness of the dream was still in her whole body, so that put her arms around him. So that she put her arms around his neck with a drowsy compliance. But she quickly grew impatient, waiting till he should be done. What? What? Oh, damn it. Damn it. Damn it to hell. I was like, no, this ain't happening. What's happening? Okay, let's get back on track here. The sweetness of the dream was still in her whole body, so that she put her arms around his neck with a drowsy compliance. But she quickly grew impatient, waiting till he should be done and had fallen again into a heavy moaning sleep. And she lay awake, shaking until dawn, wondering what had happened to her. All that week the council went on, and every night Gorlois came home pale and angry, worn out with wrangling. With wrangling. Once he burst out, "We sit here at talk while on the shores of the Saxon could be making ready to come to war against us. Don't the fools know that our safety depends on the treaty troops holding the Saxon shores, and that they will follow no man but Uther, or one of their own? Is Lot so prejudiced against Uther that he would rather follow a painted chief who served the horse god? I mean, I'd probably follow the horse god personally. That's just my personal choice. Even the pleasures of the markets had paled. Much of that week it rained, and Igraine, who had bought some needles on her second visit, sat and mended Gorlois's clothes and her own, and wished she had her loom to do some fine weaving. She took some of the cloth she had bought and begun to make some towels by hemming them and, and edging them with colored threads. In the second week her moon flux came on her. Moon flux. Ladies, who here has ever heard it be called a moon flux? Real question. A moon flux, y'all. And if you don't know what a moon flux is, I can explain it. Here, open up, y'all. There you go. There's a little taste. Mm, so good. Mm, mm, mm. Where were we? A moon flux came on her. That better be Charlie Jr. Where were we? Her moon flux came on her, and she felt dismal. There we go, and betrayed. Gorlois had not, after all, gotten on her the son he wanted. She was not yet 20. She could hardly be barren already. Oh, that's right, because he wanted her to be pregnant. I forgot about that. She was not yet 20. She could hardly be barren. She thought of an old tale she had heard about a wife married to an elderly husband who bore him no son until she slipped out one night and lay with a shepherd in his field. Ooh, it's gonna get juicy again. Yes, it is. So many noises going on outside. I got distracted. Oh, that's right. She was laying with the shepherd in his field, and her old husband was mighty pleased with the fine, healthy boy. If she was barren, Igraine thought resentfully, it was more like that not to be Gorlois's fault. He was the one who was old, and his blood thinned with years of war and campaigns. And then she thought of her dream between guilt and dismay. Merlin and Vivian had said it. She should bear a son to the High King, one who would heal the land of all the strife. Gorlois himself had said that If Ambrosia had left a son, there would not be all of this wrangling. If Uther were chosen high king, it would indeed be needful for him to get a son at once. And I am young and healthy. If I were his queen, I could give him a son. And when she came again to this point, she would weep with a sudden trapped despair. I am married. Wait. I am married to an old man, and my life is over it at 19. I might as well be an old woman, past caring whether I live or die, fit only to sit by the fire and think of the heaven. She took to her bed and told Gorloris she was ill. Once during this week, the Merlin came to her lodging while Glorious was at the council. hmm You know why? Because he's going to tell her something. He's going to tell her something. Yeah, it's the extra thick and creamy one too. It's delicious. Mm, just broke a piece. So you love that too. And some creaminess right there. I love it. It's so, it's just so creamy. Delicious, y'all. She's gonna sleep with Uther. That's my. I've never read this, so that's my thought. And I've never watched a movie either. Apparently, there's like a movie or something. Never seen it. Okay. Are you serious right now? Oh yeah. If I get payment, that's all that matters. And if you send me their name, I can write them a letter. Hold on, I'm mathing. 14, 7 and 7 for keychain. No, 14. Wait, am I reading that right? Okay. Send me a message so I remember, because I'm gonna forget. Okay. Let's get back to it. This woman is gonna cheat on her husband. Be ready. I'm always ready. That's me being. I'm with. I'm with. All right, let's get back to it. That's right. Merlin came to her while he was at council. She felt like flinging her rage and misery at him. He had begun this. She had been the content and resigned to her fate until he had sent to waken her out of it. But it was unthinkable to speak rudely to the Merlin of Britain, father or no. Oh shit, pardon me, y'all. Oh, that was good, pardon me, y'all. Gorlois tells me you are ill, Igraine. Can I do anything to help you with my healing arts? She looked at him in despair. Only if you can make me young. I feel so old. Father, so old. He stroked her shining copper curls and said, I see no gray in your hair, nor wrinkles on your face, my child. But my life is over. I am an old woman, the wife of an old man. Hush, hush, he sothered. Soothed. He soothed. You are you are weary and ill. You will feel better when the moon changes again, surely. It is best like this, Igraine, he said, looking sharply at her, and suddenly knew that he read her thoughts. It was as if he spoke directly to her mind, repeating what he had said to her in Tatangle. You will bear Gorlois no son. Dun dun dun. I feel trapped, she said, and put her head down and wept, and did not speak again. He stroked her uncombed hair, slept. He stroked her uncombed hair. Sleep is the best medicine for your illness now, Igraine. And dreams are the true remedy for what ails you. I who am ah, I, I who am master of dreams will send one to cure you. He stretched his hand over her in the blessing and went away. She wondered if something had done, or some spell sent by Vivian was responsible. Perhaps, after all, she had conceived. After all, she had conceived Glorious's child and cast it from her. Such things had happened. She could not imagine the Merlin sending to dose her beer with herbs or simples, but perhaps with his power he could ensure it with magic or spells. And then she thought perhaps it was for the best. Gorlois was old. She had seen the shadow of his death. Did she want to rear a son of his to manhood alone? When Gorlois came back to their lodging at night, it seemed that once again she could see hovering behind him the shadow of the dreadful fetch, his death waiting, the sword cut over his eyes, his face haggard with grief and despair, and she turned her face away from him, feeling, when he touched her, that she was embraced by a dead man, a corpse. Come, my dear one, you must not be so dismissal, Dolores soothed, sitting on the bed beside her. I know you are sick and wretched. You must be longing for your home and your child, but it will not be long now. I have news for you. Listen, and I'll tell you. Is the council any nearer to their king making? It may be, Gloria said. Did you hear a stir in the streets this afternoon? Well, Lot of Orkney and the kings of the north have departed. Dun dun dun, they have departed. They have quite accepted it now that they that we will not choose Lot to be a high king until the sun and the moon rise together in the west. And so they will have gone forth, leaving the rest of us to do what we know Ambrosius would have willed. If I were Uther, and I told him so much, I would not walk alone after sunset. Then Lot went away looking like a cur who's had his tail cut off. Wow. And I wouldn't think him incapable of curing his wronged pride by sending someone with a dark and Uther's heels. Sending someone with a dirk, D-I-R-K, dirk, on Uther's heels. She whispered, "Do you truly think Lot will try and kill Uther? Well, he's no match for Uther in a fight. A knife in the back. That would be Lot's way. I am I am as well pleased he's not one of us, though it would ease my mind if Lot were sworn to keep the peace, an oath on some holy relic he dared not flout. And even then I'd watch him," Dolores said. When they were in bed he turned to her, but she shook her head and pushed him away. "Yet another day?" she said, and singing and sighing he turned away and fell asleep, instantly asleep. I'm sorry, and almost instantly asleep. She could not, she thought, put him off much longer. Yet a horror had come up, a horror had come upon her, now that she saw again the doom fetch hanging over him. She told herself that whatever came should remain a doubtful wife to this honorable man who had been kind to her. And that brought back I'm getting tongue tied. And that brought and that brought back memory of the room where Vivian and the Merlin had shattered her security and all her peace. She felt tears surging up inside her, but tried to quiet her sobs, not wanting to wake Glorious. The Merlin had said that he would send her a dream to cure her misery, and yet all this had begun with a dream. She was afraid to sleep, fearing another dream would come to shatter such little peace as she had found. For she knew that this thing would shatter her life if she allowed it. Lay here, lay her promised word in shreds. And although she was not herself a Christian, she had listened enough to their preaching to know that this was, by their standards, grave sin. If Glorious were dead, Igraine caught her breath in a in a spasm of terror. For the first time now, she had allowed herself to form that thought. How could she wish him dead, her husband, the father of her daughter? How could she know that, even if Glorious were no longer standing between them, Uther would want her? How could she lie at one man's side and long for another? Dum, dum, dum. Vivian spoke as if this kind of thing happened often. I mean, it does. As I simply child am, am I simply childish and naive not to know? I will not sleep, lest I dream. If she went on tossing about like this, Igraine thought, Glorious would wake. If she wept, he would wish to know why. And what could she tell him? Silently, Igraine slid from the bed, wrapped her long cloak about her naked body, and went to sit by the remnants of the dying fire. Why, she wondered, staring into the flames, should the Merlin of Britain, druid priest, adviser of the kings, messenger of the gods, meddle this way in the affairs of a young woman's life? For the matter, what was a druid priest doing as king's counselor at a court supposedly Christian? If I think the Merlin so wise, why am I not willing to do his will? After a long time, she felt her eyes tiring as she stared at the dying fire. I wondered if she should go back and lie down at Glorious's side, or if she should get up and walk about, lest she sleep and risk the Merlin's promised dream. Mm-hmm. She rose and walked silently across the room to the house door. In her present mood, she was not altogether surprised to look back and see that her body still sat. Wait, what? I read that right. She rose and walked silently across the room to the house door. In her present mood, she was not altogether surprised to look back and see that her body still sat, cloak wrapped before the fire. She did not trouble to unbolt the door of the room, nor, later, the great front door of the house, but slipped through them both like a wrath. Interesting. And yet, outside the courtyard of the house of Glorious's friend was gone. Hmm. She stood on a great plain, where a ring of stones stood in a great circle, just touched by the rising light of dawn. No, that light was not the sun. It was a great fire to the west, so that the sky stood all on fire. To the west, where the stood, to the west, where stood the lost lands of Lyonese and Wise, and the great isles of Atlas, Alamonius, and Atlantis, the forgotten kingdom of the sea. There indeed had been the great fire, where the mountain had blown apart, and in a single night 100,000 men and women and little children had perished. That's crazy, y'all. They perished. They just poof. But the priestess knew, said a voice at her side. For the past 100 years, they have been building the star temple here on the plains, so that they may not lose count of the tracking of the seasons or the coming of eclipses of the moon and sun. These people here, they know nothing of such things, but they know we are wise. Priests and priestesses from over the sea, from over the sea, and they will build for us, and they did before. Igraine looked up without surprise at the blue cloaked figure by her side, and although his face was very difficult, and he wore a strange high headdress, crowned with serpents, and golden serpents about his arm, torques, torques, torques. Hold on. Yeah, it's torques. Torques are bracelets. His eyes were the eyes of Uther Pendragon. He's out there waiting for her. He is out there waiting for her, y'all. He is out there waiting for her. Oh my gosh. They about to do some things. Y'all ready for this? Mm-hmm. They about to go figure. It's about to go down in this book. He's out there with her, and she's like, I bet she's like, am I dreaming? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's find out. Oh, it's getting good. Okay. Agrindia looked up without surprise at the blue cloaked figure by her side, and although his face was very difficult, and he wore a strange high headdress crowned with serpents and golden serpents about his arms, torques or bracelets, his eyes were the eyes of Uther Pendragon. The wind grew colder over the high, wet, wind-swept plain where the stone ring awaited the sun, rising over the heelstone. With the eyes of her living body, Igraine had never seen the temple of the sun at Salisbury, for the Druids would not go near it, who they deemed could worship the greater gods behind the gods in a temple built by human hands. And so they held their rites within groves of trees planted by the hands of the gods. But when she was a girl, Vivian had told her of it, precisely calculated by arts lost today, so that even those who did not know the secrets of the priests could tell when eclipses were to come and trace the movements of the stars and the seasons. This book, I didn't realize this book is like £5, but it's good. It's a good one. It's a good book. All right. Igraine knew that Uther at her side, or was wait. Igraine knew that Uther at her side, or was it indeed Uther, this tall man in the robe of a priesthood drowned centuries ago in a land now called legend, was looking westward at the flaming sky. So at last it has come as they told us, he said, and laid his arms about her shoulders. I never truly believed it till this moment, Morgan. For a moment, a Granger wife of Gloria Lewis, for a moment, Igraine, wife of Gore Lewis, wondered why this man should call her by the name of her child. Yet even as she formed the question in her mind, she knew that Morgan was not a name, but the title of a priestesses, meaning no more than women come from the sea, in a in a religion which even the Merlin of Britain would have found a legend and the shadow of a legend. She heard herself say without yeah, without volition, I too find it impossible that Lyonese and Athra and Ruta should fall and vanish away as if they had never been. Do you believe it is true that the gods are punishing the land of that Atlantis for their sins? I do not believe the gods work that way, the man at her side said. The land trembles in the great ocean beyond, and the ocean we know. And although the people of the Atlantis spoke of the lost lands of the Mao and the High Brazil, still I know that in the greatest ocean beyond the sunset, the land shakes and islands rise and disappear, even where the folk know nothing of sin or evil, but live as the innocent ones before the gods gave us knowledge to choose the good or the ill. And if the earth gods wreak vengeance on the sinless and the sinful alike, then this further destruction cannot be punishment for the sins, but it is in the way of all nature. I do not know if there is a purpose in this destruction or whether the land is not yet settled into its final form. Even as a, even as we men and women are not yet perfected, perhaps the land too struggles to evolve its soul and perfect itself. I do not know, Morgan. These things are matters for the highest initiatives. I know only that we have brought away the secrets of the temples which we were pledged never to do, and thus we are forsworn. She said, shaking, but the priests bade us to do this. Wait. But the priests bade us to do so. No priest can above us from that oath breaking, for a word sworn before the gods resonates throughout time, and so we will suffer for it. It was not right that all the knowledge of our temples should be lost beneath the sea, and so we were sent away to bring the knowledge out, in full knowledge that we should full knowledge that we should suffer life to life for the breaking of that vow. It had to be, my sister, she said resentfully. Why should we be punished beyond this life for what we were bidden to be doing? What bidden to be do? Bidden to do. There we go. Did the priests think it right that we should suffer for obeying them? No, said the man. But remember the oath we swore. and his voice suddenly broke. Swore in a temple now lost under the sea, where great Orion shall rule no more. We swore to share the lot of him who stole fire from heaven. The men should not live in darkness. Great good came of that gift of the fire, but great evil too. For man learned misuse and wickedness, and so he stole the fire. And even though his name is revered in every temple for bringing the light to mankind, suffers forever the torments where he is chained, with the vulture gnawing ever at his heart. These things are mysteries that man can obey the precepts blindly and the laws they make, and live in ignorance, or he can disobey willfully, following the bringer of light, and bear the suffering of the wheel of rebirth. And look, he pointed upward to where the figure of the greater than God swung. The three stars of purity and righteousness and choice in his belt. He stands there, still, though his temple is gone. And look, there, the wheel swings through his revolving path, even though the earth below may wither in torment, and cast temples and cities and mankind into a fury of death. And we have built here a new temple, so that his wisdom need never die. The man she knew to be Uther within his little. Come on, brain. I need a second. The brain is having a moment. Delicious. You know what I like about this chocolate spoon? This is frozen because this was frozen. It's amazing. Okay. We're gonna get back to it in 2.5 seconds. Okay. That's how I eat food. I don't know what to tell you. That's literally how I eat food. What I do. Okay. Let's keep going. How's your daughter? I gotta make sure people are of age or safety first. Okay. No, for sure. You're like with the man. I'm not. You're fine. That's funny. That was funny. Like with a man. Wasn't trying to hit on your daughter. Don't worry. Calm down. Calm down. It wasn't my intent. Promise. I've got to find our spot. Okay, I remember Wheel of Reapers, so we'll start there. And look, pointed upward to where the figure of the greater than God swung. 3 stars of purity and righteousness and choice in his belt. He stands there, still, though his temple is gone. And look there, the wheel swinging through his revolving path. Even though the earth below may wither in torment and cast temples and cities and mankind into a fiery death, it fiery death, and we have built here a new temple. We have built here a new temple, so that his wisdom need never die. Here we go. We're getting back on track. The man she knew to be Uther within laid his arms about her, and she knew that she was weeping. He pulled her face roughly up to his and kissed her. She ain't dreaming. This is happening. And she tasted salt from his own tears on his lips. He said, I cannot regret it. They tell us in the temple that true joy is found only in freedom from the wheel that, that is death and rebirth. That we must come to our that we must come to despise earthly joy and suffering, and long only for the peace of the presence of the eternal. Yet I love this life on earth, Morgan, and I love you with all. Wait. I love you with a love that is stronger than death. And if sin is the price of binding us together, life after life across the ages, then I will sin joyfully and without regret, so that it brings me back to you, my beloved. Never in all her life had a greater known a kiss such as this one, passionate, and yet it seemed as if some essence beyond mere lust held them bound to each other. At that moment, memory flooded through her of where she had first known this man, of the great marble pillars and the golden stairs of the great temple of Orion, and of the city of the serpent below, with the avenue of the sphinxes, beasts with bodies as lions and faces of women, leading up to the great road to the temple. Here they stood on a barren plain with a ring of undressed stones and a fire to the west that was the dying light of the land of their birth, where they had dwelt together in the temple since they were little children, and where they had been joining together in the holy fire, never to be never to be parted while they should live. And now they had done that which would join them beyond death too. I love this land, he said violently again. Here we stand where the temples are made with unhewn stone and not with silver and gold. And orchilicum, but already I love this land, so that I willingly give my life to keep it safe. This cold land where the sun never shines, and he shivered. We were getting to the good stuff, and then it like switched on us again. Beneath his clothes, he shivered beneath his cloak. But Granger pulled him round, turning their backs on the dying fire of Atlantis. Look, look to the east, she said, for always while the light dies in the west, there is the promise of rebirth from the east. And they stood clasped together as the sun blazed, rising behind the eye of the great stone. The man whispered, "This indeed is the great cycle of life and death." And even as he spoke, he drew her to him. A day will come when people will forget, and this will be no more than a ring of stones. But I will remember, and I will come back to you, beloved, I swear it. And then she heard the voice of the Merlin saying soberly, "Take care what you pray for you will certainly be given that." That's a good one. And silence. And Igraine found herself naked, wrapped only in her cloak, hurtled before the last cold ash of the fire in her room, in their lodging, and Gloria snoring softly in the bed. Wait, was this all a dream? Oh, man. Shaking, she wrapped herself tightly in the shawl and crept. No, it wasn't a dream. Okay, cool. Chilled to the bone, back to the bed, burrowing for some remnants of warmth. Morgane. Had she given her child that name because it was truly one she had? Wait. Had she given her child that name because it was truly one she had born? Was it only a bizarre dream sent by the Merlin to convince her that once she had known Uther Pendragon in some former life? But that had been no dream. Dreams were confused, bizarre, a world where all is foolishness and illusion. She knew that somehow she had wandered into the land of truth, where the soul goes when the body is elsewhere. And somehow she had brought back not a dream, but a memory. One thing at least was made clear. If she and Uther had known each other, loved each other in the past, it explained why she had this tremendous sense of familiarity with him. Why he did not seem a stranger. Why even his boorish or boyish manner seemed not offensive, but simply part of the person which he was and had always been. She remembered the tenderness with which she had dried his tears with her veil, knowing now that she had thought, yeah, yes, he was always so impulsive, boyish, rushing toward what he wanted, never weighing costs. Had they truly brought the secrets of a vanished wisdom to this land generations ago with the lost lands were newly vanished under the Western Ocean, and together incurred the penalties for that oath breaking? Penalties. And then, not knowing why, she remembered that rebirth itself, human life, was supposed to be the penalty. Life in a human body rather than the endless peace. She curved her lips in a smile, thinking, it is penalty or reward to live in this body. For thinking of the sudden awakening of her body in the arms of the man who was or would be, or once had been, Uther Pendragon. She knew, as she had never known before, that whatever the priest said, life, whether birth or rebirth in this body, was reward enough. She burrowed her body down in the bed and lay, not sleepy now, looking into the darkness, smiling. So Vivian and the Merlin had known, perhaps, what it was fated for her to know, that she was bound to Uther by a bond which made her tied to Gorluis merely superficial and momentary. She she would do as they willed. It was part of her destiny. It was part of her destiny. Dun, dun, dun. It was part of her destiny. She and the man who now was Uther had bound themselves many lives ago to the fate of this land, where they had come when the old temple was buried. Now one when once again the mysteries were imperial, this time the hoarders of the barbarians and wild men from the north. By hoarders of the barbarians and wild men from the north, they returned together. It was given to her to bring to birth one of the great heroes who, so it was said, came back to life when they were needed. The king who was and is and will come to again to save his people. Even the Christians had a version of the story saying that when their Jesus was born, his mother had had warnings and prophecies that she would bear a king. She smiled in the darkness, thinking of the fate that was reuniting her with the man she had loved so many centuries before. Gorluis? What had Gorluis to do with her fate except to make her ready? Otherwise, she might have been too young to understand what was happening to her. Bum, bum, bum. In this life, I am not a priestess, yet I know that I am still the obedient child of my faith, as all men and women must be. And for the priests and the priestesses, there is no tie of marriage. They give themselves as they must in the will of gods to bring forth those who are pivotal to the fates of mankind. She thought of the great constellation called the Wheel in the north. The peasants called it the Wain or the Great Bear, shambling ever round and round the northernmost of the stars. But a gray knew it symbolized in its coming and going the endless wheel of birth and death and rebirth, and the giant who strode across the sky, and the sword hanging from his belt. For a moment it seemed to Igraine that she saw the hero who was to come, with the great sword in his hand, the sword of the conqueror. The priest of the Holy Owl would make certain that he had a sworn and a sworn out of legends. Wait. The priests of the Holy Owl would make certain that he had a sword out of legends, like a sword. At her side, Golorius stirred and reached for her, and she went doubtfully into his arms. Her revulsion had quite gone in tenderness and pity, nor did she have any fear that he would give her with his unwanted child. That was not her fate. Poor doomed man, he had no part in that mystery. He was one of the once born, or if he was not, he did not remember, and she was glad he had the comfort of his simple faith. Later, when they rose, she her, she heard herself singing, and Gor, and Gorlois. My speech is getting again. And Gorluis watched her curiously. It seems that you are well again, he said, and she smiled. Why, yes, she said. I have never been better. Then the Merlin's medicine did you good, Gorluis said, and she smiled and did not answer. Woohoo! That was chapter 4, y'all. We did it. Yes. Woo. Finally. All right. I'm curious. Hold on. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oh, shit. 13. So chapter 5 is 13 and 6 is, hold on, 2. Pardon me. 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. So tomorrow we've got 13, whatever I said chapter 5 was. So we're going to get it done now. Getting there. We're getting there. Slowly but surely we are getting there. So I want to thank y'all so much for letting me read to y'all The Mists of Avalon. We are now to page 60 out of so many pages. 876. So we got a long way to go, but inch by inch it's a cinch. We're no longer 8 days behind. We're gonna get there though. So I'm just picking up. So I want to thank y'all again for joining me here, reading The Mist of Avalon. It's been a pleasure to read to y'all. I love reading. It is something I enjoy. I hope y'all enjoy it too. I hope y'all enjoy this read. It is a hard read, but it's something that I'm I wanna do it. It's getting good. It's getting good. So I thank y'all again so much for joining me tonight here. Um, I may be back later. I'm not sure. My brain needs a little bit of a rest. So I want to thank y'all again for joining me. Remember, every single one of you are beautiful. You're blessed. You're breaking down barriers, boundaries, and borders. Have hope, faith, and love during these times because they could be tough. Know that you're a boss, my friend, but most of all, every single one of you, including myself, is a motherfucking beast. And beasts don't brag, baby. No, we don't. My name is Kristopher motherfucking McCoy, Superman. I love y'all. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for joining me for this chapter. Peace and love, y'all. Peace and love.